If you're trying to farm well and ecologically, what you're really doing is you're farming soil and letting the soil grow your crops for you. And the interesting thing is humans and humus in the Latin language are etymologically linked. And so what we're really doing is connecting ourselves to part of who we are, and that's to the humus that's in the soil. So when we're growing good soil, we're also growing good humans. Here at the UBC Farm, we basically really enjoy connecting people to the environment.
It's very rare to have an urban campus that has this type of opportunity to get the students actually out into the field. It's one thing to talk about techniques to analyze for productivity or for ecological function. It's a totally different situation to have students actually do it. Experiential learning really embodies the impact that we're looking for. The students viscerally experience the lesson. Overall, we're trying to get a sense of the ecological functions that are happening here at the farm. Trying to train students so that they get a taste of a whole variety of ecosystem analysis methodologies. The skills that they're gaining out here aren't just about farming. We're training people to be scientists, to be analytical thinkers, to be able to work in teams. Those are the types of life skills that are very challenging to develop in a classroom. What I enjoy most is being able to walk up to a team of students and ask them a tough question about what they're observing and see them stumble through it. Be able to interact with them in a way that challenges them to start putting the pieces together. That's when you know thinking is happening, when they stumble and they can't figure it out, and then they discuss and they do, and then they discover.
Our program is designed to not only teach students and give them experiential learning in our fields, but also they become an essential part of our field crew. They get to learn, get to be a part of the production here, which I think is the best way to learn how to farm, is doing it.
The UBC Farm is located on ancestral and unceded Musqueam territory. For thousands of years, Musqueam people have walked this land and walked it in a really good way and worked with that land and harvested medicines and foods and had good ceremony here. One of the special things about the UBC Farm is since its inception, it's had this acknowledgement of Indigenous territory, and it's worked really closely with Indigenous community in a way that we don't know of any other university farms in North America or around the world doing. With the Indigenous programs at the farm, we're seeing over 500 UBC students coming through the program a year. We're really lucky to have a lot of courses come out on course visits as a field trip, working with medicines or visiting in the community kitchens or having events. We have students doing internships, so coming out and spending a whole season doing hands-on learning and doing a research project towards their degree. Last year we had 13 different faculty or degree programs at UBC engaged, from engineering to forestry to arts to sciences. So lots of diverse learning happening here. So we're really excited by the opportunity to have these incredible Indigenous programs here and also be at a university where it can be a part of people's learning and bring to life a lot of the concepts they're learning about in the classroom.
We needed a place near UBC to keep bees as study subjects, and the farm seemed like the logical place. There were bees already being kept there. Bees fit into the farm in a variety of ways. One is that they provide pollination services for several of the crops that are grown on the farm. They're also there as a teaching tool and also as a research tool. There's been several people that have come through the farm as volunteers and have learned how to keep a bee colony, how to manage bees, and in several cases have gone on to keep their own bees elsewhere. The feeling that I have whenever I go into a bee colony is always one of wonder. Just about every time you go in, you see something that's just not supposed to be happening in a bee colony or that you weren't expecting. Bees touch on some aspect of the human psyche that few other animals can. Their social structure is comparable to humans and really in a lot of ways is also more advanced than humans. So we view them as similarly advanced, at least from a social perspective. The other aspect of bee behavior that I think attracts humans is the work ethic of bees. Basically, everybody can relate to that drive towards accomplishing as much as possible.
Food is the most intimate way in which we consciously interact with the environment. It's putting something into our mouths, and our relationships start with a kiss. It's an exchange between our mouths. In some sort of ways, we're a new generation of farmers that are trying to relearn some of the heritage that we've lost, because we've been disconnected a little bit from our agricultural processes. We've taken the culture out of agriculture, so to speak.
To be working in the soil and to be producing food for people, for your community, that's a real connection that is nice to be able to hold on to. I think it's a great starting place to get people involved in the social issues, environmental issues around agriculture and food, because it's something that draws people together. And that's what's really special about it, is how it creates and cultivates community.
The end of June or so, we start having enough supply of things to open up our markets. And that's really kind of when the energy starts to pump up around here. The community comes in and starts purchasing the produce, and that brings in a whole new energy. And so our energy of production meets the energy of the individuals in the community that are buying the food and ingesting the food. And that's when you feel like you're hitting a sweet spot, and it's just a really good feeling. We're obviously one of the vendors, but we also have other vendors in. We have prepared food vendors. You have other vendors that are farmers from the surrounding community. You have other vendors doing crafts that they bring in, so soap products or honey products. You also have some of the indigenous initiatives that are working on site selling some of their produce as well. So they do dried beans and dried corn and some of their spices they grow here as well. Because a lot of it was grown right here, it allows people to really connect with this place. They realize that they're part of something larger. So it's making those connections with people is probably the most exciting part of our job here. One of the benefits, I guess, of being a farmer here at UBC Farm is it's more of a 9 to 5 than it is a normal traditional farming job in which you're working 12 to 16-hour days. But then in some sort of sense, it's also a loss for us, because in that time, we're often not here in the evenings and early mornings, which is, I feel like, one of the best times to be on a farm. I call it shadow time, when the shadows are longer than their makers. So when you look on the ground and the length of your shadow is longer than you are, when the sun is low in the sky in the morning and the evening. Outside of that time, there's lots of work to get done. But then when there's shadow time, it seems as though you're just breathing in the air. The farm is your friend, and you're content with the silence and just being present with each other. It's a time just to be grateful for what the land has given us.